hope everyone had a good Easter, to say the least, as I'm fucking tired, to say the least, everybody. I know, it's been tired all freaking week. I don't know why, people. Don't know if I should be alarmed or not. I don't even know, honestly. Anyways, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode LucasEAllen Productions on YouTube. I'm LucasEAllen 1080 on YouTube. And all audio platforms, LucasEAllen Show. Which is your latest episode of LucasEAllen Productions on LucasEAllen 1080 on YouTube. And like I said, all audio platforms, LucasEAllen Show. For anything, follow me on social media. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook of LucasEAllen. To say the latest, basically. Also say XRs on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok as well. Now, today's podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Today's podcast. Hit the subscribe button if you've done so already. Turn on the bell for your post notifications up on this very YouTube channel. And always, feel free to leave a comment in the episode of my top 5 NFC teams under most pressure heading into the 2026 NFL season. Also watching on Spotify, do the same thing. Leave me a comment. Also, a 5-star rating. Be very nice. As well as to say the absolute least. As always, let's get started. Today's podcast, my top 5 NFC teams are under the most pressure heading into the 2026 NFL season. But this list is kind of like a little bit more hard to make than the AFC list, but I did the AFC, want to go check that out a couple days ago, to say the least, on YouTube and Spotify. I think the NFC was kind of a bit tougher. I don't think like 2 teams to the top I got here. With spoiler, one of them is my team, the Green Bay Packers. But I mean, outside of the top 2 on this list, like nothing else has seemed like it'd be up in the air to a point. Maybe number 3 can make a case too, but you'll discuss it in today's podcast always. Let's start with number 5, shall we? General, please. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll explain why. The reason why they're number 5 not higher, because they are in the NFC South, where the losers division plays for a token division title. Let's just all be real with ourselves. But honestly, like, this division, the NFC South, could be a little bit better heading into next year. God knows the Saints and Tyler Shuck can make a leap in year 2. Panthers just won this division last year. The Falcons got 2 quarterbacks, lefty quarterbacks, and Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr. Because he used one starts week. I'm probably Penix, I would think. But still, man, 2 lefty quarterbacks in Atlanta, obviously. But the Buccaneers, they lost Mike Evans. And they didn't make too much of upgrades. They said Kenneth Gainwell, the replaced Rashad White. I think it was a kind of an upgrade. But still not the huge upgrade at all. I don't know what the Buccaneers are going to do to replace Mike Evans. And then Mecca Ibuka is probably pretty good last year. And also Chris Godwin still. So I think they're fine for now. The moves of Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a legend for the Buccaneers team, honestly. So maybe it should be alarming to a point. Well, this guy's the team he went to in the 49ers in the top 3, honestly, in this list. But the Buccaneers standpoint, I think they need to make some changes. I'm so shocked still that Todd Bowles still has his job in Tampa Bay. How is this man not firing after not winning the division title with an 8-9 record? And just, I don't know, 5-7 weeks prior to potentially having Baker Mayfield an MVP conversation before he fell off the face here from along this team. Like this team, the Buccaneers were in the top 5 of my power rankings at one point. Maybe even in the top 4, honestly. But to think this team fell off the face here following that peak, just comes on Todd Bowles. How does that man still have a job after that? Is beyond me. And then again, we're going to get, obviously, I don't know. We didn't find out. But that was all Todd Bowles' decision. Todd Bowles is not a good coach at all. At least head coach. He's a good defensive coordinator, but not really a head coach in this National Football League, to say the least. But they're number 5. They have a lot of explaining to do. They have some explaining to do to say they're kind of a decent pressure in the 2026 season. This makes it number 5 for my top 5 NFC teams having the most pressure in the 2026 NFL season. Ain't top 4, though. General, please, number 4. Our team was just in the NFC Championship game last year. I always spoiled it already. But Journal Please anyways. No, it's not Seattle. You always know who it is. It's Journal Please anyways. Number 4, you get the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, you had the Chargers in the top 3 in the AFC side. Now the Rams in the top 4. Both LA teams are kind of pressure, but I think the Rams are less pressure than the other NFC West team got in this top 5. You know, it's not Seattle, it's not the Cardinals. You don't know who it is, obviously. I don't know what to fucking tell you. But the Rams, I feel like they're under a decent pressure. Because Matthew Stafford could be his last year in playing in this National Football League. And it definitely could be. Whether it is or not, it's the eye beholder, honestly. And one of the 2 best duos in wide receivers with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, obviously. That always helps. And a pretty good tight end room. And a nice trade for Trent McDuffie this offseason because it's a huge pickup for them in the secondary. I think it was much needed for that playoff run last year. But still. The Rams made some decent upgrades. They got Trent McDuffie out of the corner. They still have their top 15 pick from the Falcons? I think they still have the pick from the Falcons. They traded down last year in the draft. So we'll see what they do this offseason. So the rest of the offseason when they draft the top 15, I think it was like the 13th pick from the Falcons, I think. That's a pretty good pick, honestly. It's 15. I don't even know off the top of my head. I don't think you should draft a quarterback. They had 2 first-round picks, and you get up with Trent McDuffie. I think they should draft a quarterback in the back end. Who knows, maybe in the teens, honestly. And they can get another pick later on in the first round. But since they trade that pick for Trent McDuffie, I think they should get a skill player at this pick and not really a quarterback. They're Matthew Stafford's successor yet. You can always find it anyways. Like, let's look at the Packers. They had Malik Willis all these years, to say at least, the past couple of years. Damn, getting a huge contract from the Dolphins. Granted, is Malik Willis well worth that type of money remains to be seen, but still. Just an example at the top of my head. But who knows, man. We'll wait and find out then to say at least. But get the Rams number 4 with the top 5 NFC teams under the most pressure heading into the 2026 NFL season. They ain't top 3, they're general place number 3. Now they're rivals in the NFC West. Number 3, you got the San Francisco 49ers. I know the team went to the divisional round and the team went in the NFC Championship game last year, the Rams and 49ers respectively. But the 49ers, that's why they're number 3. They have a tough division to go through. Minus the Cardinals. We all said that last year. And this team gets injury prone a lot. And they just signed Mike Evans in free agency, who is kind of injury prone, obviously. So that's something. But then again, he's upgrade over Brandon Ayuk for sure, obviously. He's definitely an upgrade over Ayuk. And he also picked up somebody. He picked up Christian Kirk, who's a pretty good pickup too. And you also got Ricky Pearsall. They only lost Jawan Jennings in free agency too. That's kind of sucks. But then again, they got Ricky Pearsall too and Christian Kirk. So that's a pretty good wide receiver trio, if you ask me. Then you also got DeMarcus Robinson. I think is still on the free agency market. I think, honestly, I'm not totally sure. Or maybe one, but I mean back to the Niners. I don't know. But the Niners still have the back Dre Greenlaw, who got cut from the Broncos this offseason, to say at least. So that's a pretty good linebacker to have in your locker room. Then he's not the guy he used to be. He was kind of injured in Denver. Same thing in San Francisco to a point, but he's back there. He's definitely an upgrade of the linebackers they had. And you got Nick Bosa come back from injury. Same thing with Fred Warner. And you got the King. He can probably use an upgrade at corner to a point. Maybe adjust that in the draft. Maybe when you find out that to say at least. But the Niners, they have a gauntlet to go through. You got 2 of the teams in the NFC South. You got the Seahawks who just won the Super Bowl. You got the Rams who won the NFC Championship game with the Seahawks. That's just their division, honestly. And you got the NFC North, basically all 4 of those teams. Maybe you exclude the Vikings too, if I'm honestly the way it was an eye beholder. That's the rest, about 5 teams. And you got the winner in NFC South, where it comes to that being 6. And you got the NFC East with the Eagles. So that's 7. And probably like me, maybe like the Commanders, or I call them a different name. I'm not going to call them that, but I don't feel like being canceled today. You get the Washington team, obviously. This is called the Washington team, people. When those happen is Jay Daniels, he's back from injury, obviously. And you got the Giants, maybe, and then you got Cowboys as well, who make a playoff purgatory push that they try to do every year. Kind of like the Steelers, honestly, but still. But honestly, And Niners, they look great. They look good. Probably just better than obviously the Packers NFC East teams, probably the Eagles. They can just beat the Eagles in the playoffs. So make an argument, they already are the better than the Eagles. So we ain't finding them to say at least, though. But obviously, the Niners, they have gone. They were the third best team in their division. They won 12 wins. Now, granted, there is no any division winners. And obviously, the Niners would have been a 3 seed heading into the playoffs. Number 1 would have been obviously Seattle. Number 2 would have been the Rams. Then 3, we got the Niners. And after I get the Bears, I think. And then the Eagles would have been a 5 seed. That would have been freaking crazy. I always do these types of brackets and kind of like NFL Madden simulation stuffs. Not really on YouTube. It's really my personal stuff, to say at least. And you get the Eagles, then you get the Packers at a 6 seed. Then you got was it the Panthers at 7? Oh no, it's the Vikings at 7. Yeah, they made a playoffs. It wasn't for the division winners, to say at least. I know, I'm freaking ran for the sake of rant, people, I know. But the Niners, if they didn't have this division stuff, they've been in the 3 seed in the NFC this past year. So that's obviously something to think about, to say at least, but still, they're actually third in the division. They're actually still in the third in the division, to say at least. So I think the Seahawks are kind of going to fall off a bit. I know I probably said last year that they're going to probably be an overrated team heading in the offseason, and then again, just won the freaking Super Bowl. After that age, like spoiled milk, that take. I said Seattle the most overrated team heading into the past offseason, and then they just won the freaking Super Bowl this year. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like they lost a lot of decent players this offseason, like Tariq Woolen. He went to the Eagles. Well, let's say lose. Lost somebody else. Oh, Kenneth Walker, duh. Went to the Chiefs. God help us all with that, obviously, but still. You get the gist, obviously. So, no, maybe Niners can be impressing some teams, obviously. And they time Mike Evans, too. It's a pretty good upgrade over Brandon Ayuk, if you ask me. You know, he's kind of injury-prone at Mike Evans. He's still an upgrade over Brandon Ayuk for sure. And Niners, number 3, and the top teams under the most pressure in the NFC to say this 2017-26 NFL season. The main top 2, the rest of the 2 are NFC North teams. Yeah, I know. This is going to be something for me at number 1, but still, you're spoiled probably number 2. Now, John Dreams to number 2. John, please, number 2. I can't freaking speak today. Number 2, we get the Detroit Lions, who traded David Montgomery to the Texans, who getting this upgrade, and then they signed Isaiah Pacheco to replace David Montgomery. Honestly, I think they want to give much carries they can to Jahmyr Gibbs. I know they signed Pacheco, be the backup running back. That's not a bad running back to have your unregistered running back too. He had a down year last year in Kansas City, but still. He came up with a torn ACL during the middle of the season. That's not really great for him, obviously. He came up from some injury and going into he was injured in week 1 of last year, honestly, that's what I'm saying. So maybe Isaiah Pacheco can redeem himself in Detroit, but replacing David Montgomery went to the Dutch trade to the Texans, where obviously a center, and they obviously need offensive line. Yeah, they really need all line there in Detroit, honestly. But check Jared Goff. Then they lost Frank Bragg on the free agents, where he retired, honestly. And so that Panay Sewell, who's obviously one of the top tackles in the game. Probably the best right tackle in the game, but still. Especially one of the few good on lines. And then they just lost Taylor Decker, I believe, to retirement too, or at least a free agency, one or the other. Wait, no, that was who retired also for the Lions? Oh, it's Dan Skipper, that guy. Yeah, the Detroit favorite, obviously in Detroit, to say at least. What do you think is an upgrade or downgrade? It remains to be seen, if you ask me. So we ain't found. I know there's a Drew Shrugs they trade for David Montgomery. I think it was pretty. If they need as much low line depth as possible, they really do. And Trey Montgomery as a backup running back to Jahmyr Gibbs is probably a good upgrade, honestly, for that position in the tackles or center position, to say at least. The Lions, man, I don't know. They were last in the NFC North last year, and got literally swept by the Packers and Vikings. The Packers might be not as bad, but the Vikings, who don't have, they had J.J. McCarthy as their quarterback. And, like I just mentioned to you about the Niners being a division favorite, division third, the NFC North wasn't for an NFC when it comes to basically the division winners. The Vikings would have been in the playoffs, and every team in the NFC North would have been in the playoffs, minus Detroit. And this team, one previous year, was number 1 seed in the NFC all last year. Or previous year, get the point. That's basically kind of a fall off the face year for Detroit. And you got swept by the Vikings and Packers. Then you swept the division winners, the Bears, which is kind of bizarre if you ask me, but still. It is what it is. So I guess we'll wait and find what the Lions do the rest of the offseason. I think they'll call the 15th or 16th pick in the draft this year? Who knows? Maybe they'll draft someone different, someone game-changing like offensive line. They need O-line like a lot in Detroit, minus outside Panea Sewell. Other than that, they need a lot of O-line help. And defensive players, honestly. So now the Lions looking like the old school Lions you saw liking basically when they had Matthew Stafford. Then they traded Stafford and Jared Goff. It's a win-win trade for both of them, obviously. But still. Hopefully the Lions can bounce back. I don't hate the Lions as much Packer fans would. I usually hate more the Bears and the Vikings, honestly. That's just me. But if the Lions are still number 2 to say at least, the top 2 teams are the most pressure into the NFC when it comes to 2026 NFL season. Number 1, I probably spoiled it already. Here we go, man. But General Police are number 1. Long ass drum roll, please, obviously. But number 1, you got the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, they have a lot of pressure, bro. They lost Micah Parsons last year, a torn ACL. Same thing with Tucker Kraft. Like those two, anything would be terrible for your franchise, especially for both of them. We want them to be being bad for like your offense or your defense when it comes to Micah Parsons or Tucker Kraft. But you lose both of them and both the same injury, basically. That's not good, dude. Now, granted, Tucker Kraft might be back for week 1, or at least week 2, honestly. And Parsons will miss the first 3 to 4 weeks. That's not great at all. And you have no first-round pick this year. We've got to trade for Micah Parsons. That's next 2 years, trading both Dallas. Like, that's kind of risky, man. You can't get those 2 draft picks, and you have to use as much depth as possible. But who knows? You never get a trade for Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys. Basically, you trade Rashawn Gary like a 4th-round pick for Micah Parsons and 2 first-round picks. Or it was Rashawn Gary and 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark to Dallas for a 4th-round pick and Micah Parsons. It's basically a trade, honestly. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Green Bay. They need to do something. They had a shot becoming the first team to ever twice to win a playoff game at the number 7 seed. But they couldn't do it. They choked their freaking brains out against the Bears in the wild card. That was probably the most heartbreaking loss I've seen of a Packer fan my whole life. And then there's a lot. There's quite a few of them. And probably a few Packer fans in the past years think in different ways. But I'm not been a Packer fan since like 2017. It was 2017 when I came. Not a football fan. I used to be a Bills fan, believe it or not. Until I basically changed to be a Packers fan, honestly. But still, man. I don't know, man. They need to do something. So they need to do something. The biggest free agency sign is Benjamin St. Juice. And then myself such as Javon Hargrave. They lost a lot of guys. Quay Walker to the Raiders. What else they do is another guy to the Raiders. I'm even thinking of somebody different. But they lost to Romeo Doubs to the Patriots. I almost said the Packers in general, but the Patriots. What else they lost? They lost Malik Willis, their backup quarterback to the Dolphins. Another AFC East team. But man, like this team is kind of getting depleted in the death spot. Who are they going to replace Malik Willis with the backup quarterback Jordan Love? Because Love tends to get injured a lot. And we need a good backup. Right now our backup was freaking Desmond freaking Shitter, a.k.a. Desmond Ritter. Oh man, like that's not good. I'll be honest, it might be a hot take. I know Kirk Cousins just signed with the Raiders recently. But I wouldn't mind a Kirk Cousins for like a backup quarterback for 1 year. I wouldn't mind it. Not for like 20 mil the Raiders gave him, but still. You probably want to get that price tag somewhere else with the Raiders. Kirk Cousins is Asian, by the way. Oh my god, what a freaking brilliant guy that is. Getting all this freaking money as a Kirk Cousins player. Get one freaking playoff win. That's just not great. And you obviously got the one playoff against the Saints. That is what it is. But honestly, the Packers need to do something. Is this roster going next year without Micah Parsons for the first 3 to 4 games, and maybe even Tucker Kraft to a point? They need to do something. Maybe they can steal us a draft in the second round. I don't know the pick they hold in the second round, but they don't have a second round pick. I definitely know that. So I guess we'll wait and find out that's to say at least. But Packers have a lot of pressure, dude. This team's getting really freaking expensive. Again, paying like top 5 quarterback money. And make Micah Parsons one of the best defensive players, taking a lot of freaking money to buy the top 2 defensive guys, the most paid player. Oh, also you got Tucker Kraftman probably in his extension pretty soon if you haven't had one already. Christian Watson's going to be in the extension if he gets a breakout year. Oh, I lost Elton Jenkins, the O-line, to Rasheed Walker. That's not great either. You're adjust those positions until in the offseason. I don't know, man. We have a lot of pressure as a Green Bay Packer fan, to say the least. Hopefully we can deliver and not choke like the Bills would choke, but they're number one for a reason. This is where the top teams are the most pressure in the NFC for 2026. That is my list, to say the least. Go again, number 5, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 4, you got the Los Angeles Rams. Number 3, you got the San Francisco 49ers. Number 2, you got the Detroit Lions. And number 1, you got the Green Bay Packers. The top 5 NFC teams having the most pressure heading into the 2026 NFL season. Let me know in the comment section on YouTube and Spotify what you think of my top 5 teams having the most pressure in the NFC heading into the 2026 NFL season. And always feel free on YouTube and Spotify if you're watching this right now. Leave your top 5 NFC teams having the most pressure heading into the 2026 NFL season. And let my AFC predictions, my AFC teams, so go check it out. We have on YouTube and Spotify, to say the least, as well. Until next time, and trust me, definitely next time, everybody. Peace and love, everybody. I'm out. I love y'all big time, to say the least.